Gillian Keegan hits back as new BBC Today programme host Emma Barnett brands her stance on gender education staggering and suggests she's not fluent in the issues. That's what the Mail Online's saying. And the Mail also phrased it this way. Barnett expressed incredulity when the Cabinet Minister said she did not know how widespread inappropriate teaching of gender was in schools. But Ms Keegan shot back that Barnett needed an update of what guidance had been provided in schools. Let's see how that interview plays out.
Sex education is changing, again. Well, the age of when children can be spoken to by their teachers about certain things. Revised guidance is being published by the Department for Education today, which is set to include no sex education before the age of 9 and a ban on children being taught about gender identity as a contested subject. And in your article today in The Sun, you said there have been a number of concerning reports about inappropriate content being taught in some schools. Can you give us an example of inappropriate content?
Yeah, so I've seen some materials where they talk about gender identity, it being a spectrum, there being many different genders, looking at, trying to get children to do quizzes on, what's a different gender identity and what isn't, and ignoring biological sex in the material I saw anyway. So there's been a lot. I mean, you can see the materials from various groups of people that often have a particular campaign or lobby that they represent, and a lot of that material has caused concern. So I have seen that.
But how widespread is that issue?
I don't think it's widespread. I mean, I don't know because, it's not something that I've gone and...
You don't know?
Well, it's not something that we've gone and done, a particular survey of. We've listened to reports, we've listened to concerns from teachers. But my job is, if we think that there's more to do and to get guidance to be more clear, then that we do that. And if it's helpful, it's helpful to do that.
But that's staggering. As the Education Secretary, you don't know how widespread the issue is to make such large changes.
Well, no, we're making the changes in request to the review that Ofsted did, which is what teachers said, and also to parents as well.
Let's just listen to that again, because it didn't really sound like it carried much weight at all. A request from Ofsted, who made some suggestions from something teachers or parents said. What?
Well, no, we're making the changes in request to the review that Ofsted did, which is what teachers said, and also to parents as well.
You've banned teachers from talking about gender identity. You've actually banned them in this guidance.
Identity, which is a contested fact, not gender recognition.
I'm fluent enough in this subject, I promise you, and I reckon our listeners are as well. We'll come to whether you are in a moment. But I suppose it's staggering that you are across education, but you have no idea how widespread this problem is. It matters because teachers, some of them saying, this isn't an issue at all. You've even almost just said that yourself, and you've just created silence around one of these issues.
It's guidance that was introduced in 2019. The review was done in 2021. Obviously, some Ofsted inspections, which is where it's looked at. Some Ofsted inspections will have taken place since then, but there's 22,500 schools. So since this very new guidance has been put in and has been embedded, not every school has had an Ofsted inspection. Not every school will have had this looked at.
She's going off topic again. What is it with the Ofsted inspections? Are they waiting to see it's a good thing? If that's the case, roll it out over a few schools and keep an eye on them to see whether or not this implemented policy works.
Because they won't get round 22,500 schools in that.
But
so that's the way the system works.
You are across 22,500 schools, or at least should be, when you make the decision to make such changes. And it's staggering, perhaps, to our listeners that you don't know how big enough an issue this is to make these proposals, which are quite radical. It's big enough an issue
for the Ofsted review to come back with this input from teachers. And to be honest, it doesn't need to be, an issue that, that it's big enough. If I've got concerns and I think I can do something to help those concerns, then my job in my leadership role is to address those. And that's exactly what I do. I don't shy away from it. I didn't shy away from it with gender questioning. I didn't shy away with it with mobile phone.
We'll get onto those issues in the next video. Click here to find out all the awful things that Gillian Keegan has done.